Hi everybody, welcome to Show It Live here on showittier.com. I'm Field Denny. This is my awesome co-host Elizabeth Langford.
Happy Tuesday!
Happy Tuesday. It is a happy Tuesday.
It's always a happy
Very
Tuesday
happy
at Show
Tuesday.
It.
Yes.
That's true.
We're in the month of July.
We are like way into the month of July.
Are we?
Well, we're about halfway through.
Halfway. It's the halfway part.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
You could probably tell that there on that fancy watch you're wearing
the fancy
today.
watch. Yes, that's not mine, but I'm borrowing and may never return. What's that called? Stealing.
Stealing.
Yeah.
Yes. Taking what is not yours.
Yes. Yeah. It becomes yours though after you've had it for 3 months.
Right. You acquired.
So a couple fun things going on here at Show It.
Yep.
We have the Show It blogging challenge.
Yes. Oh, the 6-week blogging challenge. It started on Monday, July 6th. It's not too late for you to get involved. If you'd like to participate in that, you can sign up on showittier.com. We're just kind of hoping to help kickstart blog. We really think that blogging is an important part of your business. It's huge for marketing, and it really allows your voice to get out there and you to connect with your potential clients and your current clients. So we're encouraging that.
Yeah. So, and we started off step one. We started with the show. We did. With Caitlin James talking about getting organized for it. But then week one was all about creating a mission statement for your blog. Right. Absolutely. And so and the why your blog needs a mission statement, which we actually have a great article here on showittier.com. If you haven't gone through that and you're not signed up for the newsletters yet, after the show, head on over, stay here on showittier.com, but just click on that link. Why your blog should have a mission statement. Right. That's muy importante.
Es muy importante. In fact, we were actually talking, this whole article kind of came about because we have lunch as a team every Thursday here at Show It. And last Thursday we were at lunch and we were talking about GPS and how awesome it is to have it on our phones and how many times all of us had been lost at different points in the last like 15 years, mostly like, you know, the last, I don't know, what would it be like 10 years ago before it was on your phone, before you even had like those Garmin devices in your car and you had MapQuest or like folded maps. And the idea, you know, kind of came about that like a mission statement is like a roadmap for your blog, and it helps you stay on track and get where you want to go, and it's a good activity to do that. So we invite you to jump in and sign up for the blogging challenge because it's great. We have amazing bloggers that are giving tips and tricks, and we're trying to get you in the habit of doing this on a regular basis.
And so you can sign up for the blogging challenge here on showittier.com. There's an article, I think it's called 6-Week Blogging Challenge, that you can do to do that. We also have a featured showittier that we wanted to show off. Caroline Frost is a showittier. I can't remember where she's from, so you'll have to forgive me, but she is super awesome.
Back east.
Yes, she has this gorgeous website. We're actually going to have an article here on showittier.com that gives you a nice little intro and talk about how great she is.
Yeah, she has beautiful work, a beautiful website. And we just absolutely love it. We wanted to kind of show it off and let you know, find out a little bit more about Caroline. We love our showittiers, and we love to highlight and feature them on showittier.com. Yeah,
so definitely stay tuned around these areas to find out more about Caroline.
Lots of good stuff going on showittier.com.
So many things.
Super excited about what we are talking about today with our guest. But to kind of lead into that, you just got back from the City by the Bay.
Yes.
Sort of, or that area.
San Fran, Tokyo.
San Fran, Tokyo. Oh, Baymax.
Or San Fran, Tokyo.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. But did I hear you correctly say that you and your wife, Carrie, shot more than 50 rolls of film this weekend? Yeah. It was a stretch for us because we actually, bigger to us was we shot digital. Because it was we shot a Indian wedding over the weekend / end of last week, and it was amazing and wonderful. The people, I can't tell you how great this family was. Her parents are, I mean, just absolutely amazing, wonderful people. I can't wait to see the pictures.
But it was a big long event. And so we had agreed upon beforehand to shoot some digital, which I don't know how to shoot digital anymore. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Just out of
like
your brain.
All the settings, everything, the fact that I can see the picture I took, it blows my mind.
Right?
It's amazing.
The technology is amazing.
So crazy.
These don't have that. That's not what this window
You can't do what's called chipping, where you take the picture and then you look and then you take, no, you can't do that. But we still shot 50 rolls of film. Film is where our heart lies. And so it's it's the medium we use.
That's awesome.
But over 50 rolls.
Wow.
It was fun.
See, and that just scares me to no end. The idea of shooting a wedding on film, I shot film in college. It was sort of where my photography got started, but you were required to be in the dark room. Yeah. And I am not a big fan, I'm a little claustrophobic, not a big fan of small, dark places with chemicals. Like, it's just not my idea of a good time. And so if it wasn't for digital, I would not be a wedding photographer.
I think that's part of it. Is Carrie and I shot film together growing up in high school.
Like the beginning of the love story.
In high school, we would often find ourselves in the dark rooms. I thought it was wonderful. Great memories.
Really different to be in the dark room with the girl you're in love with, probably. Yeah. Okay. I was in like wet shoes because it was Oregon and it was constantly raining and it was just like not a lovely experience. But today we are going to talk about getting started in film, because a lot of people are braver than I, and they do want to try it out. And in fact, I've got a couple of my own film cameras here. I do shoot this one a little bit every once in a while. This was my parents'. Yes. They called it a Brownie, I think, and they used this to shoot pictures like when I was born.
It's different than the brownies I enjoy.
Yeah. Very different, probably. But I have no idea how to use this camera. So I'm really excited to talk to our guest today, Christina Blanarovich, about how to get started in film.
Yeah, and so if you guys don't know Christina, she is a super awesome show-it-tear out in Pennsylvania. It is very rainy. Yeah. You can go to christinazen.com. That's her beautiful show-it website. Oh, good. We're showing it here.
Yeah. Oh, I love that picture. Is that? I think that's Toronto.
So many good
so pretty.
But without further ado, Christina, welcome to Show It Live. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Better than we deserve.
Better than we deserve.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So for those viewers out there who may not know you, who are you, Christina? Who is you is?
Who is Christina? Yeah. My name is Christina Blanarovich. I am a film photographer out of the East Coast, but I kind of go a little bit everywhere. And I started my journey in photography about 6 years ago, and I started doing film 3 years ago, and now I am, I'd say like 90% film. I still do like reception stuff, the crazy dancing stuff on digital, but as much as I can shoot on film, I do shoot on film. So I'm a lover of Nutella and bacon.
Yes. Oh, and you're my sister from another mister.
But not at the same time.
This has been decided. Oh, Nutella and bacon?
No.
Nutella and bacon? Well, I don't know. I've actually never tried it. It might be delicious.
It probably, anything on bacon is delicious.
I know.
That's true.
Nutella on anything, so.
Oh, no.
I've never actually had Nutella.
What?
I will just raise my hand and admit.
So this is just a conversation between
This is just between you and me, Field.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the way this works.
Can't talk to her anymore.
All right. So why, Christina, why this change in your business to film? We're going to just not talk about Nutella.
Well, and you've been shooting film for how many years now, as far as professionally shooting film?
Professionally, I've been shooting it for 3 years.
3 years. Okay. So why the switch 3 years ago?
So 3 years ago, and I know this sounds kind of crazy when I think back and say it out loud, since I've only been shooting professionally for 6 years, but 3 years into shooting digitally professionally, I'd been shooting 30 plus weddings a year. And then I got to a point where I just felt like I wasn't happy with my work. And it wasn't that it was bad. It was that I was missing something. I was missing a connection, and I was trying to find my voice. And in doing so, I realized that I didn't like to do like the really epic off-camera flash photos, although I am good at them and I know how to do it. I learned how, I'm proficient. I've got a handle on that, but it wasn't connecting with me. I would see other people's stuff and I'd go, wow, that's fantastic. But I had no desire to do it myself, even though I was trying. So I kind of took a step back and I said, you know what? I came into this digitally and I never really shot anything growing up. My dad was into photography as a hobbyist, just fun. We have tons of pictures from growing up, but I was the person who went on vacation and on the last day of vacation went, oh, I didn't take any pictures. So I'd like stand outside and I'd be like, all right, we're good. So it's kind of a really crazy change that I became a photographer. So I decided that I was going to go old school, and I said, you know what, I'm going to learn photography basics on film. And maybe that, if I just kind of step backwards and learn the old school way of doing it, maybe something there will push me in my digital. I had never intended to become a film photographer at all, not even a little bit. So I bought a film camera, and because I do things easily, I bought a contacts.
Yeah,
why not?
That's the way to go.
At the time, I'm just going to preface that by saying at the time they were a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
a lot cheaper.
They're pretty cheap now. You know, you can get the body only for like $2,800.
Yeah, I got the body lenses, backs, and all of that for like $2,000, but that's okay.
Geez. I'm so jealous.
So I bought a contacts, and the day it came in the mail, I put film in it, and I took it to an engagement session. And I told my couple at the time, I'm like, look, I literally just got this. I'm like a kid in a candy store. I want to try this out. Do you mind if I shoot a roll just at the end of the session? They were like, yeah, of course, no problem. So I wound up shooting 5 rolls at that session. And I had, in the meantime, read up on this. I had read a couple of books. My favorite book that I would recommend is Film Is Not Dead by Jonathan Canlis. You can get it on
the Amazon
Kindle type of thing, because the print version is it's out of stock now, so you can't find it. So I read that, and the reason I liked that one as opposed to some of the other film books was because it went step by step of the different film stocks. It talked about the technical side of it, which is what I wanted to know. The technical side of it for me was the important part that I was missing, and I wanted to gain that knowledge. So I had read all of that, and I went and shot it. And when I got that first set of scans back, I was like, wow, there was something that was different with them. And then I literally just started shooting like crazy. I brought my film camera everywhere. I shot my kids. Everywhere I went, I just shot film. And I did that for about, I'd say about 5 months. I shot film as much as humanly possible while still shooting digital for, my sessions. For paid clients, I always shot digital. I really just worked out the kinks with film and learned I would keep a little notebook. I don't know where so I have a little notebook, and in the notebook, I just have notes that have, different shoots, and I would bracket, and I would write down all my settings. I was really, really meticulous about that, so that I would learn the different film stocks and what kind of light situations they want. So it was a lot of trial and error and practice. And I guess that scares a lot of people because it's a lot of money.
Right.
To send that off to the lab and to do that. But I think that's how I went in a very short period of time, in a period of about 5 months. I went from getting my first film camera to shooting it at weddings proficiently, and knowing that I was going to get the results that I expected. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. What was it when that first roll came back, Christina, that felt so different between the digital and the film for you? Were you ever able to pinpoint what that is, or is it just it just makes you more excited than the others?
It's what I tell my clients too when they ask me why I shoot film. I said, film has soul. There's something about the film images to me. And this is not knocking digital. I think digital is great. And if that's what you shoot and that's what makes you happy, awesome. Some people get that way about it. But for me, I would look at my film images, and there's a depth there. There's a depth to the film images that I just don't think I personally can replicate on digital. And there's this movement, there's this character to it that you can feel. You're right. It's not something that you can really pinpoint and say, well, the color looks this way. I love the creaminess of the skin tones. I love how light just dances through film images. And also, for me, my favorite thing is just, I feel like the little moments, the connections, and that's what I found as when I started shooting film. I'm a connection photographer. I would say what I focus on most is those moments, the connection between the clients, the connection between the couples and the locations. I try to capture more of the emotion and the feeling than I do people looking pretty. So for me, film was able to do that because I was more in the moment. When I shoot film, Field said earlier, you can't chimp. You don't look at the back of the camera and focus on, oh, are my settings right? You have to trust your gut. And that's kind of an amazing thing. It's scary, but it's also a good thing for, I think, all photographers to be able to do. Even when I mentor clients that are digital only, I sometimes make them cover up the back of their camera. And I literally just put paper over it, and I'm like, you're not allowed to look at it. I need you to feel this. I need you to be connected with the client. And by not being able to look at that and having to just trust my gut and know that I'm doing what I'm doing is right, I feel like I spend more time with the client. I see things that I didn't see before because I was concerned about that epic shot. Whereas now it's just, I'm in the moment. I'm with them. I'm crying with them, and I'm seeing things that are happening out of the corner of my eye, and I'm just more there. I'm more present.
So I love that you said something I wholeheartedly agree with. This film has soul, and obviously people feel about film and digital different ways. But like, I look at digital like Michael Bublé, right? I don't like Michael Bublé.
It might be his name. He's an amazing artist. He's
an overglorified lounge singer, but people love Michael Bublé, and he's great, and he makes great music. But Al Green has soul, and like, you feel something with Al Green. Michael Bublé, it's good, it's good music, but Al Green.
Well, for me, I mean, maybe it's just how I am, but I have an old record player, and I'll listen to that, and everybody's like, but the cracks and the pops, and I'm like, the cracks and the pops are what make it so special. The cracks and the pops are what make you feel like you're a part of it. You're there. I don't know. I feel like digital for me is too perfect. And some people rock that, but I don't. I like the imperfection. I like the movement and the softness and the little nuances that come with film. And I like the challenges of film, that every film stock it has its own character, and depending on the light, it's going to react totally different. You have to, I like that it forces you to really, you get to choose your paint as an artist. You get to choose your canvas. And even with film, I have many different film stocks in my basement, and it depends on, okay, so I know that the clients are going to be, really brightly dressed, and we're going to be going to this great new place that has a lot of color. Okay, I want this film stock for that. Or if it's going to be out in the forest and it's really moody, like today is overcast. It's that dark gray, very moody. I know what kind of film I would shoot on a day like today would be totally different than a bright sunny day. Just because I want that different look. And I love that film can do that. And I love that I don't have to spend hours and hours in front of the computer.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic.
So I want people out there to share. If you're watching live, hop on the live chat over there to Liz's left, your right, and hop in and ask any questions you have. If you love Michael Bublé, I apologize. I hope I didn't offend you. But Al Green's way better.
But I'd love to know, like, what film stock are you using? What camera are you shooting on? If you're shooting film, or if you're shooting digital and you're thinking about moving over, if you're going to be brave with me.
Like Krista Blevin joined in, and she said that she just got her first 35mm camera, which is awesome. Tell us what it is. Like, I have my favorite. It's an old 1970 Konica Minolta SRT 202. Like, it's my old school baby. Let me know what you got. Well, there's differences between the 202, the 201. Anyways, let us know what you got and what you're shooting with. So let's get into the differences. I mean, you've started to mention quite a few of them, but differences between film and digital.
Well, I mean, they each have their purpose, and I'm not the kind of person who's just going to be like, film is better 100%. There are situations where, digital is going to win hands down.
Like, it's a
low
better
light
business
situations, extreme low light, you're very limited with film unless you're going to be shooting really grainy, really moody black and white. You've got limitations. There are some color films like the Sign Still 800 that's great for that, but it still limits you. It still has its own limitations in terms of, right now it's only readily available in 35mm, so you can't shoot it in the medium format. So, the color is a little different than what you're used to. So in really low light situations, I'm still always going to pull out the digital. I had a wedding this weekend where the church was just so dark, there was honestly, I don't even think I could have shot black and white in there.
Yeah.
I think I had my digital bumped up to about, I'm easily at 6,400 ISO. So, it was just,
it was dark.
Yeah.
It was dark. So yeah, situations like that, digital is going to win.
See, that's the thing. I forget that digital cameras can even do ISOs like that.
It's insane. It's insane what they can go up to, but it's really useful when you end up in that super dark venue.
So for the wedding we just shot, I had to borrow a digital camera because we owned one. But so I borrowed Amy and Jordan's. They had a Mark III that they very graciously let me borrow. And I was shooting it, and I was like, oh, I should bump up my ISO, and I just spun the wheel, like you do. And I looked down, and it was a 6,400. I was like, oh my gosh, I could shoot. I could shoot this at midnight. It's no light. Awesome.
Without a moon.
But there was a great question that came up about. Lori asked, "Is there any post production with film? Does it come back digital?" So if you wouldn't mind answering that real quick, because I think that's key. Like whether you're shooting film or digital, a lot of post-production is the same.
So post-production, there's always post-production. So what I do is I shoot the film and then I send it off to the lab. I use the Find Lab, and I've tried a bunch of different ones. They are my favorite. They just, for my work, they work great. There are a lot of fantastic labs out there, and I recommend that people try lots of different ones. Send your film to a few different labs, see which one kind of gets you the best, and then start a relationship with them. That's the most important thing. I hear a lot of people, they complain about their film's not coming back, it doesn't look consistent, it's not the color, they have to do all this post-processing to it. And it's because you really need to talk to your lab and talk to the person who's going to be working with you. I have a developer. He's mine. He's all mine. And well, not like all mine, but he's the only one who touches my stuff. And there's a reason for it, because he and I have worked over and over, back and forth, to get my look down. When things come back from the Find Lab, I get a file transfer from them. I download the zip file, I pull it up, and my pictures are there. And very, very little has to be done to them. Usually what I do is I pull it into Lightroom, I'll adjust some crops, I'll straighten some angles, and that's pretty much it. A couple of things, like I might convert a couple of my colors to black and white, but I do shoot both color and black and white film, so I do that very limited. But my developer and my scanner at the Find Lab, he has nailed my style. So I really do very little. I sometimes, for like my personal work, I'll get the basic scans. And so those are premium scans, excuse me, I should clarify that. So the premium scans mean that what they do is they'll develop your film, and then they actually have an editor who comes in and will scan your film and then edit it to your preferences. So they'll scan it on either a Noritsu or a Frontier scanner. The main differences between the two scanners is that the Frontier scanner adds a little bit more contrast and pop, which is actually what I like. I ask for the Frontier scan. The Noritsu is a little bit softer. It gives you more of that light and airy look. So if you're a light and airy kind of photographer, you want that kind of softness, I recommend scanning on a Noritsu. If you like more contrast and pop, which I do, then probably a Frontier you'll find you're more drawn towards. Then what the editor does is then takes that and then he makes adjustments for me. So he knows how I like my skin tones. He knows how I like my greens, how I like my colors to look. So he'll make those adjustments for me. I'm paying him to do that. It's no different than sending out your raw files and paying somebody to do your edits, your color edit for you. It's the same idea. But again, I want to spend as little time in front of the computer as possible. I have 2 little boys that I homeschool, so it's a lot of work, and I try to work only a couple of days a week so that I can manage both of those. So
that's awesome.
It's that same whole thing. So when I get it back, I edit, and by edit I mean I cull and I straighten and I crop, and that's pretty much it. And I'm done.
That's awesome. Is there a difference in the number of images? Emily wanted to know, Christina, that you would give if you were, say, shooting on digital or if you were shooting on film. Like, how does that differ in what you deliver?
When I shot digitally, I started off, I mean, my first 2 years, I was delivering like 1,000 images, probably 1100. I stopped doing that because I felt like it was too much. So even digitally at the end, when I was still doing mostly digital, I was probably delivering closer to 700 or 800. Now I deliver about 500 to 600 and my clients are thrilled. I have never had a client ask me for more photos. It's more about the moments. I felt like when I was delivering more, there were a lot of repeats and it was a lot of, well, you know, this is good, I'm gonna throw it in. Whereas now I'm really focused on getting those moments. So I don't need to shoot very much. People always ask me like, oh, don't you feel like you're gonna miss a shot? No, I don't actually. I feel like I'm more in tune to get that shot than not. And I actually shoot a lot for a film shooter. You were talking about shooting 50 rolls of film at a 3-day wedding. I've shot, my record is I sent 62 rolls of film to the Fine Lab of 220 film.
Ooh.
62 rolls, 220 film.
It was all 220?
Wedding. Huh?
Was it all 220? How many was 220?
Actually, so 48 was 220. Okay. The rest was 120.
So that's basically like a double roll.
Explain this for the non.
Yeah, they actually called me. They're like, congratulations, that was a big roll. That was a big winner.
Well done.
But so, I mean, but that's the thing. I've gotten to a price point with my clients too that I'm not afraid to you know, I don't have any reservations about, hey, you know what, this is moving fast. I want to make sure I've got this. I'm shooting. You know, I think that's also a big key. And I think something that a lot of hybrid shooters feel like, well, I don't want to spend more than X amount. And while that's noble, I think if you really want to become a film shooter, you have to be willing to pay the price. I mean, there's no way around it. You know, if I think I've told people how much I actually spent in both the purchase and development of film. You want me to tell you my number for last year?
Yeah,
in 2014, I spent $23,000 on film.
That sounds about right.
$23,000 on the purchase and the development of film. You know, it's a cost, but it's a cost for me that's well worth it.
And but you figured that into your business, so you're making smart business choices that then cover that cost and you still make a profit.
Right, absolutely. You've got to work that in, you know. And the first year that I shot film, when I made the decision, you know, 5 months in, hey, I want to do this. I took a loss. You know, I knew that I was going to eat up some of my profit because I wanted to shoot film. But as I was doing that, I was able to show more film. I just showed film and film and film and film, and people started to get drawn to that. And then I was able to raise my prices as I went. You know, yeah, there were probably about 10 weddings that I ate up my profit on, but it's the decision that I made, and I had to make that and say, like, listen, I could do this the long way and the really hard way, which is like little by little, or if I knew that I wanted to do this, I had to just go for it.
Lori asked a really good question. How much is a roll of film and how much does it cost to develop the roll? It depends. Different stocks of film cost different. Like Portra 800 is more expensive than Portra 400, and Portra 400 120 is cheaper than the 220
so
rolls.
There's just a wide
There's
variety.
a very
there
wide
is a wide range, and it does factor into, you know, what I shoot for different weddings. You know, I don't shoot Portra 800 for weddings because right now it's about $13 just to buy one roll, and then it's about $20 to develop it.
Okay. So $33 for one roll of film
plus tax.
By the time you buy it and you develop it, how many frames on that roll?
If it's a 120 medium format roll, you get 16 frames on the contacts. It also depends on your camera. So, you know, on the Hasselblad, it gives you 12. On, you know, so every camera is a little different. So, you know, obviously 35 millimeters, you're going to get 36 frames. A 220 gives you 32 frames. So that's the other great thing that I love about film that I didn't mention is not only do you have your differences with your film stocks, but every camera is unique. It's not like, you know, Nikon versus Canon. Like nobody cares about that in the film world. It's, you know, a Contax looks different than a Hasselblad. A Hasselblad looks different than a Rolleiflex. Like they each have their own different characteristics. Like I also have a Canon 1V, and I love my 35mm. I can use all my Canon lenses on it, and it has a different feel. I use that for more of like the photojournalism, the quick parts of the day, getting ready, the ceremony. You know, I throw that on with a flash and do dancing with that. Like I love the different characteristics that each camera has as well as the film.
Yeah.
So it's so unique.
For someone starting out, someone who's watching today and they're like, I want to go get a film camera. Is there any one, since there are so many, is there any one or any one type that you would recommend as like a good starter? You know, because not everyone's probably going to go out and buy a Contax right away.
Probably not.
Nor
honestly,
should they.
Nor should they. Unless they're crazy like I am. Well, the thing is I don't know if you can answer that question, because I think it's such a personal, no, put your hand down, feel. It's such a personal thing. I mean, I think one great thing is starting off with a 35mm camera that you can use your lenses on. That is going to be the most economical, and it's going to be the easiest transition. But 35mm is so, so, so different than medium format. And that's what I don't think people understand, that the picture quality, the difference, it's like, I can always tell. Like I have people who are like, oh, you can't. Yes, you can. I can tell. You can tell the difference. Even how the film acts on a 35mm versus a medium format is different. Yeah. You know, Portra 400 on a medium format looks different than Portra 400 on 35mm. Yep. It's same conditions, same everything. It's going to be on where you want to go. There are a lot of medium format cameras out there that are a little bit cheaper. There's like the Pentax, there's the Mamiya. There's a lot of different options that you can research and go for. And I don't think you can make a mistake. I really don't. I think you should, if you really are interested in doing this, figure out what your budget is to spend on a camera and get the best possible film camera for that budget, for your needs.
Yeah, for budget purposes, you mentioned, you know, we're talking about the differences in cameras and how many shots come on each. So you'll notice the numbers, like Contax 645. People are like, oh, it's a 645, and a lot of people don't know what that means. It's actually going to be the size of your negative. Okay. So the amount of film that it's going to use per shot, it's 6 centimeters high by 4.5 wide. And you'll see others like my tank is a Pentax 6.7. So it uses up a lot more film. And so like in a roll with the Contax where you'd get 16, I'd get 10. In a roll, you know, whereas, so I mean, that varies when you're out there looking for cameras. Tons. I mean, I agree that it is very personal. I think if you're just starting out, a Mamiya 645 is fantastic. There's some good ones out there that are fairly inexpensive that still have autofocus, if you like that. Nice. Whereas the Pentax 645, I'm a Pentax fan. But there's just so many great choices out there for you that are fairly inexpensive. Okay. Jasmine Star went out and got a Pentax 645. I think JD bought her one. Oh, and so the prices of Pentaxes have gone up in the past couple months, which I think is interesting. They're a little more...
well, the price of all of this has risen as it's sort of, film has risen from the coffin.
From the dead.
It's not dead, according to the book. But it does seem like, you know, the interest has really grown. And so the community has grown and the cost of it all has gone up.
So Emily asked another great question. So as you progressed into film and you were showing off more and more of your film work as you were shooting it, did your ideal client change, or did they tend to shift from more digital to film?
I think it was a combination of things, and I don't know if I would necessarily attribute it to just film, but I think it's also a growth in finding my own voice, and it takes time to do that. But I think as I shifted, I did narrow in on who my client really is, who I resound with, and who kind of resonates with me. I don't think that they necessarily come to me saying, I need a film shooter. But they come to me and they say, there's something about your photos. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know how to explain it, but it doesn't look like anyone else's. I feel something with your photos. And like I said, I think it's a combination of the fact that I think film has soul. It has that depth that other people don't have, but also I found myself. And I'm a more confident shooter because I found what I'm happy doing. And I think that makes all the difference. My ideal clients are very relaxed, very laid back. You know, it's funny because when you do film, everybody gives you that fine art moniker that you're this fine art film photographer. I don't think fine art needs to be stuffy. I think fine art just means that it's a person who has an appreciation for not just a beautiful photo, but the act of creating that beautiful photo. My clients now respect me as an artist very much. They're all about, you know, listen, you're the artist, you're the professional, you do whatever, you tell us what to do, because we know that whatever you decide to do, you're going to create something amazing for us. And I think that shift has happened. And like I said, I think it's a combination of they see the difference in the photos. They not necessarily can't put their finger on what's the difference, but they see there is a difference. But also the way I have become as an artist has changed because of that.
And we talk about this all the time, and how you don't need to shoot film to be a fine art photographer. It's whatever gives you that passion, whatever tool it is that allows you to be truly creative. Like, that's what comes out of it. It's not necessarily because it's film or because it's digital. Like, it's your work. It's what makes you alive as an artist and makes you free to create. And I think that is the biggest thing that changed. I know in our business and in yours as well. Like, that's what it is. It's not necessarily, oh, I switched from digital to film and now all my everything is better. It's now I'm better. Like, this is because it's a passion, right? Yeah. So I love it. That's
awesome. Hey, for those of you that are in the chat, I'd love to know, raise your hand if you are a hybrid shooter. Well, you can raise your hand.
Well, kind of,
right?
You know, if you were a digital camera.
If you were doing both, and I guess one of my questions for you, when you do have to switch, and either one of you can answer this, but when you do have to switch, when it comes to the reception time, is it hard to make your brain make that change from shooting film over to digital? Because I know just having to change from one digital camera to a different digital camera can sometimes make you go, huh?
For me, sometimes it is. It's like I have to stop and just think of it in digital mode. What I will do, and I used to kind of carry 2 cameras. Oh boy, that was a big mistake. I think I did 3 weddings carrying 2 cameras. And then I was like, forget this. I'm not dual shooting any portion of the day. So even when I was still kind of like half shooting film at weddings, I would shoot portions of the day entirely on film and then portions of the day entirely on digital. I didn't go back and forth because that back and forth for me, it messed me up. I didn't like it. And then trying to match those portions.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there are great presets out there. I use like the Mastin Labs presets and stuff, but it's still a pain. It's a lot of work. So for me, I was like, not doing that. When I have second shooters that shoot digital for me, like 99% of the time, I just put their images in black and white. That's my
Nobody
little like,
know.
I'm not matching this, black and white.
Right.
But what I started to do, like at receptions, I would do like, oh, well, I'm going to shoot my 35mm and my Mark III. And again, it just kind of kept messing me up. So now I'm at the point where if I have good light in a venue, and unfortunately, I'm not lucky enough to have a lot of outdoor venues around here. So most of our venues are inside and dark. But if I have enough decent light for like the first dance or the cake cutting, or I could use a video light where it's good. Good videographers are my new best friend. I mean, I go right up to them and I'm like, hey, I shoot film, so your video light, pop that bad boy on. Let's do this. So they love me when I tell them they can use their video lights and I'm not going to complain. But I try to just keep it film or digital, not back because and forth. It does mess you up.
Yeah,
or at least with me.
Yeah, I think it's key, and everybody has a style and a workflow that they use. And out there, I see Ashley just started shooting hybrid. Congrats!
Yay,
like that's a big deal. It's a big step. And what's funny, so Jamie mentioned she got married back in 2001, and her photographer charged her for each additional roll above her like predetermined limit. Those were the days, people. Yeah. Those were the days.
It was a big deal when I got married that it was on digital.
Yeah, same. Yeah, we used the same photographer.
We did have the same photographer.
What Didn't know.
Random. Didn't know.
So I think there was one other thing I wanted to ask you, and it's a very personal question. What, like, your favorite color film? Like, if you had the optimum settings for your favorite color film and your favorite black and white.
Okay. See, this is where I can't give you a nice simple answer.
Yes, you can. Right.
Because it depends. It depends. My favorite color film for personal work and travel is Ektar.
Okay.
The Kodak Ektar 100 is my absolute, like, when I go on vacation, Ektar is all I bring. It is colorful. It is ridiculously colorful.
Yes,
it is overly colorful, some might say. It has a tendency to have like reddish tones in the skin, but the Fine Lab has been amazing at countering that. So I never really worry about that. But for travel photography, I like color and brightness. I'm not a light and airy kind of person. So for me, Ektar rules for personal work.
See, it wasn't that hard to answer.
For professional work, you know, I mean, I love the colors of Portra 800. I could live in Portra 800. Again, it's colorful, it's rich, it's vibrant, but it has its place. I think if I was told I could only use one color film forever and ever, it would be Portra 400 because it's the most versatile. And I know that I can make it look the way I want it to. And it's the most versatile. I can shoot it in lower light situations and push it. I can shoot it in bright sun. Like it's easy for me to work with that one. My favorite all-time black and white is Acros. It's a Fuji film. It's Acros 100. Again, I like contrast. So it's a very contrasty black and white, which I love. It looks absolutely amazing. It's what I tend to shoot as much as I can. But again, it's not practical for weddings. You know, for weddings, I tend to shoot the Kodak Tri-X because it's a 400 speed film. You can push it up to 6400 if you need to, you know. And it's not the greatest. It's going to be contrasty and dark, but it can be done. And it can be done well if you know what you're doing. So again, like the films that I love aren't necessarily the films that I would shoot professionally all the time because they have their limitations. But for my own work, I mean, I would live with Ektar, Portra 800, and Acros. Those are my babies.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I have no idea what it means, but I am so curious to like go find out more now. And I think I'm going to go read the book.
Listen,
Film is Not Dead.
If you want to go shoot landscape and want color, there's nothing better than Ektar. Like, Ektar is just, it's the best.
Arizona desert, Superstition Mountains, here I come.
Oh yeah.
I just gotta find a camera.
In amusement park, go to Disneyland and shoot Ektar.
Okay.
Just go to Disneyland.
Just go to Disneyland.
I'll meet you there. Yeah. Honestly, let's go right now. Okay.
That's
done.
Awesome.
Well, Christine, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. It was absolutely wonderful having you on. And out there in TV land, if you guys have any questions or anything, hit us up in the Show of Tears group. If you have any questions and you can't get a hold of this awesome person, PM me. I know a little bit about film, not as much as Christina, but I'd be happy to ask her.
You're a pretty awesome film photographer yourself, buddy.
Well, I was fishing for a compliment. Thanks for taking the bait.
Well, actually, it's your wife. It's okay.
It's seriously. Right? But thank you guys for joining us. Join us next week. We have the awesome Jenna Clark on.
Oh, I'm excited for that.
Same time, same channel.
Yeah. We're going to talk about how to attract your perfect client.
Yeah.
Which is different for everyone.
It's going to be amazing. Oh, it's definitely different for everyone. Yeah. Yeah. That's the best part about it is your perfect client. So join us next week, 10 a.m. Pacific time here on showtier.com. You guys have a great day.